Hey everybody, I hope you're doing good. I'm going to do a weekend challenge with my Facebook pouring group. If you haven't checked it out, look at the link below this video and join if you haven't already joined me there. So we do a weekend challenge and we roll the dice, and according to the dice and the chart that we have posted on the group, tells us what how many colors we're going to use, what style we're going to pour, in case you're ever just wanting to randomly pick something. That's a great little chart to use and roll dice. And there you can even roll dice on your computer. You don't have to have actual physical dice. So the roll this time was to do pour colors one at a time. So I would say kind of like a puddle pour, and then also to do 5 colors. So the 5 colors I'm picking are metallics. I love the peacock colors. So this is metallic purple, and I'm still going to try to squeeze out just a little bit more Artist Loft metallic purple. And then I added the Folk Art Color Shift Purple Flash to it because I didn't have enough of this Artist Loft purple, metallic purple. So I wanted all, you know, about the same amount of paints, and so just getting that last little bit out of that tube, and it's empty. So Artist Loft metallic purple with Folk Art Color Shift. This stuff is not cheap. Then this one here is Deco Art Extreme Sheen, and I absolutely love Deco Art's metallics, especially this one. It's called Sapphire, and it is so gorgeous. It just radiates color. So that is the blue color. This one here is Artist Loft Metallic Phthalo Green, and that is Artist Loft Elegant Finish, and it's a 10-ounce container, so they cost, you know, somewhere between $7 to $8 or $9. And this is Emperor's Gold, which is my favorite metallic gold so far I have used as far as with regular paints. I'm going to actually add just a little bit more to my cup because I want to make sure I have plenty of this beautiful color. This color is Copper, and it was one I mixed last week or so, and it actually has a little pearl mixed into it, so it's kind of an unusual color, but that is the color I'm going to use in conjunction with these colors. So I'm going to move these colors aside, the tubes, and I always try to list my colors at the bottom of the video where it says show more. In the red bottle here I have water mixed 90% water, 10% Oetrol or Floetrol, and I'm using Oetrol Easy Flow today, and this is a European company. It's very similar to Floetrol. It's pretty much the same thing. Oetrol graciously gives me free product, and I know you get tired of me hearing that, but I like to give them a shout out, and I do love the quality of this better than I do Floetrol. But Floetrol is pretty much the same thing. So, you know, as far as comparison, they're the same kind of products, just made in different, one's made in the US and one's made in Europe. So I'm doing a 1-to-1 ratio always. That's my go-to recipe. It's just nice and simple to remember, 1-to-1. You don't have to think of anything when you do a 1-to-1 ratio. It's just plain and simple. And I use this strainer to catch any flugers. And flugers are a nice word for boogers. But flugers are from Floetrol. It's those little chunks that come out in your paint, and don't do nice things on your canvas. I'm going to speed through this part of mixing and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've got them mixed, and the purple required some water, the green required water, the Deco Art paints not so much, they didn't need it. Deco Art is more fluid than the two paints, so sometimes you have to add water, sometimes you don't. You go by the consistency, and I actually want it a little bit thicker today. And then I've got OGX coconut milk. And I thought about not putting any in, but I think it has some in here already, so I might as well just go ahead and go for it. So I'm going to do one tiny drop in each cup. Not a pump. I'm barely squeezing the trigger on this. It's very difficult to get it to come out to begin with without making it come out as a pump. But you just put in a drop, a few stirs. That's all you need. With OGX, less is more. You don't need to add a bunch. It just takes very little. I think some people don't get cells because they might put too much in. And you will see it making cells on the top just by itself from the OGX. So like I said, the challenge, the weekend roll challenge in my Facebook group was a 5-color, one at a time pour, which means even like a puddle pour. And I could do a puddle pour on here. I could do a balloon smash, which I've never done before. I could do one of those things, but what I really, really wanted to do was a bottle pour. And this is the one I wanted to use. It's level, or more level than the other. You try to cut it to where it's as level as possible. So this is a 16 by 20 canvas. It's a pretty good sized canvas, and I think I'll put a coat of white on just to help it flow. So I have my pre-mixed Artist Loft white. It's mixed 1-to-1 with Oatrol as well, and some water added. And there's no silicone or anything like that in it. And I've got my Wilton icing fondant spreader, Easy Glide. It's in my Amazon link below my video. And this just helps get your paint on kind of quickly and kind of level, fairly smooth. So it works pretty well. And some people mention, and I've had the problem too, where there's suction from it, and there is. And I think the issue, if you have suction, is that maybe your paint is a little on the thicker side, and that's why you have an issue with suction. And you also just need to skim the surface. You're not really pushing down, you're just skimming the surface. So, and I do try to just kind of get a little bit over the edges in case paint flows over the edges. It'll just have some of the same white on the sides that you have on the top, because this white is different from the primer white that's on your canvas, you know, that you pre-buy. I don't gesso my canvases. I use them straight out of the package. So this just helps give it a slicker surface to glide on. So that's done pretty well there. So this is going to be a bottle bottom pour, one color at a time. And because I put OGX in it, it's going to cause cells, which will, you know, it'll make it not feel so perfect. I like kind of the surprise element of the silicone or OGX and the surprise element of cells popping up. You know, I could even put this off center. Maybe I will, just a little bit. Just kind of off center. And we'll do it that way. I might regret it later, but for now I'm going to try it. So I'm just going to start pouring colors. And I'm pretty much going to put probably a little metallic between each color. Maybe I'll not. Maybe I'll do the one color against the other. We'll see. What happens is the gold or copper metallic will give it, you know, more contrast. That's what my thinking is behind putting them between the blue, purple, and green colors. And you can kind of pour more in the area that you can see if it's not puddling kind of evenly. I dropped a drip there, but that's okay. I am going to do the in-between color thing. I really love the blue and purple the most. So I'm going to take my torch. I do have a torch. I don't always use my heat gun. And now I'm going to let it shift a little bit, but I'm going to keep this bottle on it. You can see in the center how the cells are making themselves. So I'm just letting it kind of sink in first. And I'm not like sold on having to keep this flower shape from the bottle. I just wanted it to be my resource from which I poured on top of. I'm also going to get my very used baking pan. I'm pulling it out because I know that I'm going to drip over the edges here. So remember again, my paint is kind of on the thick side. I'm trying to decide what I want to do with these edges. And I'm trying to get it over the edge, but I like this and this too much to try to spoil the edge of this, so I'm just going to add more paint right on this edge. Okay, so I think I want to blow. I don't really like the white peeking through, but I'm not going to worry about that. In this area where it's kind of thin, I'm going to add some more of this color shift because I really love this paint. So I'm just going to get it thicker to make sure my finger is clean. And you can't push down too hard because you've got that white underneath this layer. So if you push down too hard, that white's going to pop up kind of like it did here. I can also take a skewer and like here where the white's showing, I can kind of camouflage it a little bit with the colors. So every time I put color down, I'm wiping it back off on my paper towel, because you don't want to contaminate whatever color you're dipping into either. So often I'll take a skewer and I'll just put a little color and just kind of roll it. The good thing is not to put your fingers into your paint, which I'm guilty of doing often. So sometimes you can use your skewer and softly drag it, and instead of blowing it, because when you blow it goes down to that white, and see, it's very hard to get that white not to show through. And then it's good to just check your edges. Make sure you've got paint on all the sides. These kind of pours have the prettiest drips. I tell you, they're just beautiful. They're like little masterpieces on the table. And metallics will often kind of separate from the canvas and those light dots, so you have to kind of keep layering up your colors. So right here I want to do something, and this blue I love, it's my favorite, but I want to do something, even if it's just a little bit of the shimmery gold, and maybe I'll stick a little purple with it. And I'm kind of rolling my stick just to give it a little bit of personality right there through the center. And I want to do something with this, and what I'm thinking is I'm going to take, I have cups that I used and then stood a painting on top of it, so it's got paint all over it, but I'm still going to use it anyway. And I want to do something right here. Okay, so I kind of did a gradient thing, and I'm just going to do kind of like a tree ring pour right here in the center of this. And it is thick, that's why it's not moving much there. But I want to kind of cover this part up. It's heavy right there. That's the only part that's kind of really moving. It's interesting, right here there's a perfect little triangle. It's so strange. Usually cells are round and so forth, and there's this triangle right there, which I don't like the shape, so I'm going to round it off a little bit. And then I have a little bit more that popped up where the paint's missing. So I'm just going to drip down some color right on top of the crater. And I've got this white line I'm going to try to get rid of. I would really love for this to look peacocky, kind of like a peacock feather, kind of, and I don't know if I can achieve it. I'm going to try, when you swipe, you have to wipe afterwards so it does not contaminate the color you're swiping from within. I really want it to be like fine lines. I actually like that better with the comb, but it's got this curve on the bottom that hits the canvas here. Oops, and I just hit the corner of this canvas with my fingers. And I don't like that either. It's careless. So I'll put some more gold on there, and I'll just use my skewer and try to lightly drag some color. So I'm going to put some blue, because it's missing blue right through here. I just love this blue, it's so sparkly. So you can just add your own stuff that you want to add. The palette knife is easy because you can kind of do things quickly with it. That's the great thing about the palette knife, is you can use the edge of it to kind of just direct your paint. Just by putting a little bit of paint on your palette knife, you can kind of just use it almost like a paintbrush, just to paint in fine lines and to do little tiny swipes, that kind of thing. So I'm going back and finding those craters and just filling them in. So I'm not crazy about these little wispy things here now that I've done it. So I'm just very softly skimming this surface. And if it goes down to the white, just add some color back on top. So this was supposed to be just a simple 5-color pour colors one at a time, like a puddle pour, which I did over a bottle, bottom. That's confusing, isn't it? And so I just have to keep playing with it, because you know me. But I like it. I love the peacock colors. I love anything metallic to begin with. So here it is. So I have this paint left, and I've got to use it because it's so beautiful. And there's some beautiful drips on the table, I tell you. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Check below the video where it says show more, or on your mobile device there's a down arrow. You will find a link to my Facebook page, my website, Amazon with all my recommendations, PayPal, and Patreon if you would like to join me in my community there and get more private one-on-one interactions. So thank you so much for watching.